Friday Heaters, we're back at it, still in New York, checking out the Kat Olschbaur. Kat, how do I pronounce your last name? Olschbaur?
Olschbaur, yes.
Olschbaur, New York City. Let's heat it up. Kat, can you hear us?
Wait. I need to shut this off.
We're at your studio. We want to check out your artwork, see what the studio's all about.
Come.
And so everything here now, Kat, you're kind of in the middle of your process, right? You've got a show coming up this fall. So that's,
Yes.
You're still kind of in experimentation mode, trying new stuff out, or?
I really have several projects going on at the same time, and I haven't really installed it. So I have some works that are in the process. Then there's this painting that will be one of the central pieces of the show. And then there is a couple of other works that I was working on in fall. So there is a part of my practice. I enjoy painting for a specific space. Like the last show I had in Paris, I painted a series of paintings, almost like a space that is one painting that is connected to different works. So I painted it knowing the space, and I painted it with the light situation of the specific place. And then all of the works are created around that. But I always choose to use the time after an exhibition to just paint for painting's sake. So most of these works are different projects that I had going on. Sometimes, so a lot of these are portraits.
Okay.
And they are portraits of specific people that I know. This was one of the first paintings I started when I came to the studio, and I worked pretty long on them.
Yeah.
So I'm still working on it. But it connected originally to the series I had in my Paris show.
So clearly a lot of figuration painting here. Where do some of these figures and shapes come from or develop for you?
So I started off figurative, very expressive, and I was always drawn to large formats, as large as I could paint in a Viennese apartment. So it's maybe 2 meters by 150. It was huge for me.
Yeah.
I was at this point where I kind of wanted to unlearn everything, and I eliminated everything that was narrative in my work. And I developed this abstract language where really all of the elements have some form of reaction towards each other, or conversation with each other. So it was all shapes that were derived from figuration, but they were distilled. And it was interesting because no one was ever, no gallery was ever interested in that abstract work. They loved my figurative work, but I did it because I felt I really felt the need to. I exhibited them, but I also really developed, it was almost like swimming in a dry. I developed an idea of forms or shapes, also moving from one painting to the next. So I developed this idea that often when I build a series, it's almost like a family. So the works are connected in some way. I also developed the freedom of using narrative, but not sitting entirely on the narrative. The narrative is never the first thing. So after I came to LA, I arrived at some kind of end point. And so I felt the urge to bring back again the figuration. It was interesting because I don't know. So Austria, Vienna is very cerebral, it's very conceptual, and it was not really very supportive to painting in itself. So you would really be more of an exotic person who still paints, or who goes to Italy and looks at church paintings also, which I always really loved. I was always very much inspired by Baroque or Renaissance paintings because I was interested in ideas of gravity and anti-gravity and this kind of constructs of power, but at the same time I was always fascinated by building certain constructions. They, in your imagination, can also crumble. I had a very particular way also of looking at these paintings because it was not necessarily driven by the narrative. Whose saint was this? Which kind of Mary, this and that. But it was really in looking at image structures. I also studied set design for a while. So I have a very spatial thinking, and also my thinking is really informed by certain theatricality, or almost performative understanding of paintings.
Yeah.
So my practice is based on drawing. So when I was in LA, I was obsessively drawing, and this was a drawing style that is very influenced maybe by surrealist techniques of just free kind of, it was concerned with composition, but it was also concerned with going into all your impulses, all your subconscious that comes out. So it was a very fast and energetic kind of drawing, and I was in a way suddenly not brave enough, but kind of had this freedom to bring back figuration into the abstract paintings. So which was first shoes, horses. The horses was like the first series I did in LA 2018.
Okay.
And then from there, because I just got bored with like repeating one thing over and over.
Sure.
And I secretly really craved going back to the figure and also allowing myself to bring faces and expression into it. But it was really hard for me. I really had to work a lot for it. So the figuration came back into the painting. But when I now think about it and reflect about it, first of all, abstract, figurative, these are completely linked to me. But if I would describe my process, I'm concerned with the precarity of the human figure, but I also with its fragmentations and the difficulty of depicting a person. Sometimes these people that I paint, they are containers, they are very abstracted. I project a lot of power into them. I'm really interested in the monumentality of a portrait and the intimacy at the same time. So they're very intimate, but they're also very like, I don't know, in Austrian or German you say entrückt. It's somehow like, it's not really in reality, but they're a little bit above us all, like in some way.
Yeah.
So even if they are very clearly figurative, and I'm known as a figurative painter, the process or the image has more to do with abstraction. It's like how I built it. And I'm really interested in ideas around error, like in ideas around mistake, or when you slip and you do something wrong. Like my whole process is actually based on mishappenings. It's like the color is mixed wrong, it's dirty, like I use dirty brushes. In the end, I really want this all to glow. I'm thinking of like an internal light, like this illumination that we also have when we look at screens. I think light is very interesting because back home people would always say, yeah, you need to prove, like, why does painting still matter? You need to talk about digitalization or whatever. And I'm not interested in like put it into your face, like as a project proposal. Like I think of all these things because we cannot think outside of our time anyhow.
Obviously we see a figure now, but like, are you starting with the shapes first? I mean, do you see this human form when you're making it initially, or are you starting with kind of this vessel shape that you were talking about?
I start in the beginning, like I have a specific format, and I start a composition in relation to a format. Sometimes I have specific compositions that I repeat, so I know already several things. So I probably need to do a certain composition or constellation of whether this is a standing figure. For a very long time, been reflecting on the reclining figure, like all the concepts that are brought into the reclining figure. Then the standing figure is mostly like a person in labor, like a soldier, a warrior, or whatever. Like it's very specific, and it's kind of difficult to think of really like standing figures. And this specific series, like painting, I was thinking here in some way of a landscape that is very poisoned, or like there's an element of destruction. Like there is an element of something really very violent has happened, but at the same time the figure is maybe like supernatural.
Yeah.
But I was really thinking of like medieval compositions, of where there are different sizes of people, and also this figure is almost like as if like the skin is quite open, so the flesh is quite open. I was asked, why, like, is this the same person or is it another person? Sometimes the figure is almost like a vessel, so there can happen like a specific story inside of the figure that is relating to the outside, or is then somewhat disconnected. But here there are kind of different narratives happening, and also animals. It's also not completely done here, yeah?
Sure.
So
process.
The big question, is it done, is it not done?
Yeah.
It's like,
We won't
we're gonna
ask
fight
that.
about it.
I've learned that that's not necessarily a good question to ask.
Yeah,
Because if it's done and you think it's not done, you're implying to the artist that they haven't done enough.
Yes, exactly, and I feel like,
My bad. There's just an abundance, Kat, all over the studio of different figures, different scenes. There's a lot, right? I mean, there's a lot of this flowing out. I mean,
there are different phases. Now I put a lot out there because it makes no sense. You guys come and I have everything turned around.
Sure.
But I have phases where I turn around the works, because especially if I start this painting over there, I will turn around mostly because it's just really distracting me. I wanted to just keep the works there, almost as if they are different islands. So there's the portraits that I started to do since a couple of years now already.
Is there a consistent person or figure that you're coming back to? Some of them seem kind of similar to each other. I guess I can see differences.
So some of them are based on real people. I like to be visually stimulated. I like to look almost that everyone would just run out of my studio because I love it. But there's a lot of paintings that I'm not actively working on, but I like to look at them and I like to have them sit next to each other in order to get ideas. But then I sometimes also just turn them around.
Does the movement help you see them in different lights and contexts, or
Yes.
just to for you to be able to work in a space that's not the same space over and over?
Yeah, because sometimes, you get kind of stuck and bored, so you need a little change.
Yeah.
So, and it's also because it is southern lights, so the light is constantly changing in the space.
Okay.
And then also, in really deep winter, this is the warmest wall.
Like physical temperature-wise.
Yes.
Yeah. You see the energy in your paintings. You can feel the energy in the room. I mean, you're creating a lot here. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, it sounds kitschy, but it's really like breathing. That's just what I do.
Yeah.
If I would show an art, I would just do that.
Okay. How long can you go without sketching or get back in the studio? And
I get definitely really nasty if I don't go.
Okay.
You don't want to hang out with me then. But
that been the
I
way?
enjoyed how much energy you have when you not go to the studio, because it shows how much energy goes into, I'm such a studio rat and I'm really into almost monotonous lives. And not a lot of people know it, because when I go out, I like to dress up nice and I'm more outgoing, but this is only a small portion of the time. This is what you don't know, that I'm just like a studio rat.
Sure. In terms of the color palette, it feels kind of retro, moody. There's some 80s colors to me. Maybe it's the shapes as well. The colors have a certain style to them.
As I say, how they are now in the studio, I would probably never show them like this in a show,
Okay.
But
Yeah.
okay, where is my? For example, this is a color that, this pastel-y, I haven't been working on in this
Sure.
in these shades for quite some time, and I do think it's influenced by coming to the East Coast because the light is very, very different in LA. So I had for a while, I had a lot of notes about color, because when I was in Vienna, people were hating my colors and they say that's too bright,
And
because
these Vienna people are so...
they hated it.
tough.
But I think I was really, I was always such a, I was this night person, so I think a lot about all the colors that you see when you're out at night. It's like neon lights, dirty city lights. So I'm really inspired by that. And then I do look a lot at 90s music videos, looking at placing color next to each other and staring very long on one point until the colors are no more what they used to be. So a lot of the colors really start intuitively. I start with shadow areas and then I imagine light sources next to it. So it's kind of, it's very much coming out of the process, but it's very much also reflecting on specific moods, like the blue, the purple that is connected to some kind of melancholic state. Then the red is the alarm, it's flash. And then sometimes how I place light and shadow is also, I'm also looking at maybe at film noir a little bit. But it's a lot of the dirty neon.
Yeah, dirty neon, film noir. Okay, yeah, you have better words for it than I do. It's I've seen these colors before, but I'm not well-spoken or versed enough to know
But they're not
what
really,
they're associated with.
Yeah, they're not necessarily coming from looking at other paintings. Not so much. Maybe they're coming from some grainy video, or just really moving through night in a city.
Oh, this is great, Kat. It's cool to really get. You and I have known each other for a minute, but I haven't gotten a chance to do a deep dive. So yeah, thanks. Thanks for
My
having us.
pleasure.